All right, so we're going to talk about slope-intercept form today. Slope-intercept form is right there. It is y equals mx plus b. That is something that you should know and you should continue to know because you will continue to use it in math forever and ever. Slope-intercept form is the basic equation of a line on a coordinate plane. So the other definition you have is the y-intercept, and that's where a line crosses the y-axis. And that's important because in slope-intercept form, y and x will always be y and x. But m and b will be numbers. M will represent the slope of that line, and b will be the y-intercept of that line, where that line crosses the y-axis. So let's take that information and let's do this. So if we're given an equation, we can look at that equation and find the slope and y-intercept. So if I look at my first one, y equals 2/3 x plus 5, my slope, that's the term that's in front of the x. That's the m. Because remember, this is the form. So my slope is 2/3. My y-intercept is 5. So look at the next one. My slope, that's the number in front of the x. That's 3. My y-intercept, since this is -3, my y-intercept would be -3. So let's look at our next one. Our slope is -4. Our y-intercept is 2. So let's look at our next one. Y equals x minus 5. So there's no number in front of the x. So what do you think the slope is? I hear answers of 0, 1. It is 1. Anytime there's nothing in front of the x, you can think of that as a 1x. And our y-intercept for this one would be -5. So let's look at our next one. Y equals -x plus 3. Again, there's no number in front, but there's a negative sign. So this one, our slope would be -1. Our y-intercept would be 3. So our next one here, y equals -3/5 x. So for this one, -3/5 would be my slope. That's what's in front of the x, -3/5. What do you think the y-intercept is? There's nothing being added or subtracted. Sometimes I hear the answer, well, maybe it's 1. If it was 1, there would be a +1 there, but there's not. Since there's nothing there, our y-intercept is 0. It crosses the y-axis at 0. You could imagine this is the same as if there was a +0 written there. So what about our next one? Y equals 6. So this one doesn't have any x term at all. There's no x term because you could imagine there's 0 x's. So your slope is 0. This would be the same as if I wrote y equals 0x plus 6 like that. It would be the same thing. A 0x is nothing, so it doesn't need to be there. My y-intercept in this case is 6. So y equals 6 is a horizontal line because it has a slope of 0. So we know it's a horizontal line that crosses the y-axis at 6. So x equals -4. So if y equals a number has a slope of 0, x equals a number has no slope because this is going to be a vertical line. So if you could picture on a coordinate plane, x equals -4 is going to be a vertical line that crosses at -4. So its y-intercept is none because it does not cross the y-axis. Look at the red line I drew. It doesn't cross the y-axis. It parallels it. All right, so that's how you pull the slope and the y-intercept out of equation in slope-intercept form. So here's just a visual example of 2 different equations and how you could use the information. So look at y equals 2x plus 3. I can see it crosses the y-axis at 3, the red line there. And I can see it as a slope of 2 because we're going up 4, right 2, which if I simplified 4 over 2, it simplified to 2. And if I look at the next one, it's almost the same thing. You can see it's a parallel line, but it has a y-intercept of -1, so it crosses at -1. Same slope, though. It's going up 4, right 2. Notice the 2 lines have the same slope, and they're parallel. And that will come back later in this unit. So let's graph some. All right, so y equals 2x minus 2. We're going to graph this equation. First thing I'm going to do is find my y-intercept. So it's y equals 2x minus 2. So my y-intercept is -2. So I put a point at -2 on the graph. Then I'm going to use my slope to draw more points on this line. My slope is 2. 2 as a fraction is 2 over 1. So that tells me, remember, the top number's up and down, the bottom number's left and right. They're both positive. So it tells me I'm going to go up 2, right 1, and put a point. So see what I did there? I just went up 2, right 1. I'm going to do that again, up 2, right 1. And I can keep doing that. Up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. I also could do the opposite. I could go down 2, left 1. Down 2, left 1. Last one's kind of in my way there. So then what I can do is I can connect them all with a line. I put arrows on the end of the line to signify that that line keeps going forever and ever and ever. So that's all I needed to do there to graph it. I needed the y-intercept and I needed the slope. So let's look at the next one, the red one here. Y equals 1/3 x plus 1. So 1 is going to be my y-intercept. So I put a point at 1 on the y-axis. Then I'm going to do the slope. The slope is 1/3. So that tells me I'm going to go up 1, right 3. Because remember, the top number's up and down, the bottom number's left and right. Up 1, right 3 again. I can do the opposite. Down 1, left 3. Down 1, left 3. Connect them with a line. And I've successfully written the equation. All right, I want you to try the next two. Try the green and the blue. So pause the video, try those. All right, so the green one, y equals -3x plus 4. I'm going to put my y-intercept at 4. My slope is -3. So -3 is a fraction, is -3 over 1. That tells me I'm going to go down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. And I also can do the opposite, up 3, left 1. And I'm going to connect them with a line. Finally, the blue one here. The blue one's a little tricky. So y equals -x. So first thing I need is my y-intercept. There's nothing there, but I know that's the same idea as plus 0. So my y-intercept is 0, and my slope. So I know my slope is -1. -1 as a fraction is -1 over 1. So that tells me I'm going to go down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Keep doing that. I could go up 1, left 1, too. And I'm going to connect them with a line, and we've successfully graphed it. All right, let's look at next. Next, we would write an equation if we're given a line. So for this one, I need to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So it needs to be in this form. So basically, I'm just figuring out the slope of the y-intercept. So my y-intercept is pretty easy. Where does it cross the y-axis? I can see it crosses at -2. So that means there's going to be -2 there. So now all I got to do is find my slope. So to go from one point to the other, I go up 3, right 4. So my slope is 3/4. And I've written the equation in slope-intercept form. All right. Graph. We're going to graph 4 more here. We're going to go. I want you to try to graph these on your own. So I want you to pause the video, try to graph these 4, and then unpause it, and you will see the answer. So our first one, y equals x minus 4. My y-intercept is -4. My slope is 1. If there's nothing in front of the x, I can imagine a 1 there. So 1 is a fraction, 1 over 1. That's up 1, right 1. And I successfully, whoop, my line went away. All right. The red one. The red one, y equals 1/4 is x. So my y-intercept is 0. Nothing's being added or subtracted there. So my y-intercept is 0. My slope is 1/4. That's up 1, right 4. I can do the opposite, down 1, left 4. Connect them with a line. I'll graph that one. So the green one, y equals 4. When you have y equals a number, there's no x term at all. That means it has a slope of 0. This is the same idea as y equals 0x plus 4. So that means usually your y-intercept is 4, and it's a slope of 0, so it's just a horizontal line. So x equals 4 is the same idea, but instead of a horizontal line, it's a vertical line that crosses the x-axis at 4. All right. I would like you to try and write the 3 equations for these 3 lines. So pause the video and try and write the equations. Okay, so the blue line, y equals something x. My y-intercept is 5, so it's going to be a plus 5. My slope, I'm going to go up 3, right 5. So my slope is 3/5. So y equals 3/5 x plus 5. The red line, my y-intercept is 2. And I look at my slope, I'm going down 1, right 1. So that means -1. So my slope is -1. If you just put negative x, that would be fine. That would actually be even better. But I would take -1x. So that equation is y equals -1x plus 2. Sorry, my board is acting up on me. Let me get back to where I was here. I was here. So this one would be y equals, my y-intercept is -3, so I put -3. My slope is down 2, right 5, so it would be -2/5. So there, we've written the equation for each of those. And then the last one, we're going to graph these 3 equations. So y equals x. I can't tell you how often I see people graph this wrong because they're overthinking it. First thing you want to do is, what's the y-intercept? Well, what's being added or subtracted to the x? Nothing. So it's the same idea as plus 0. So my y-intercept is 0. Now I'm going to look at my slope here. What number's in front of the x? There's nothing. That's the same idea as a 1. So this is the same as 1 over 1. That's just up 1, right 1. Also can go down 1, left 1. And we've successfully graphed it. All right, I want you to do the last 2. So pause it, try the last 2, and then check. All right, y equals x plus 2. Y-intercept is 2. Slope is 1. So this one's just going to parallel the one we did. And then the last one here is green. My y-intercept is -2. Again, it has a slope of 1. So that's just up 1, right 1. So you can see these all ended up being parallel lines because they all had the same slope. All right, that is it for this lesson.